Jordan, are you ready to hear
I'm
about?
ready to.
Oh god, the screen's freezing. Oh god, oh god, Jordan, are you ready to hear about the Rick and Morty anime?
Everything's twisting! Not again, that mother... See ya, Morty!
Huh? Wait a minute, where's that?
You turds are gonna regret messing with the Smith family!
Trudge the hell out of this place!
No.
Jordan.
You mean the anime that I don't consider to be an anime? Go on.
Jordan, strap in. Are you ready to hear about the Rick and Morty anime? Created by. So okay,
You have my permission to continue.
Good, because I was going to continue whether you wanted me to or not. No, okay, so this Rick and Morty anime, it begins as 2 anime shorts called Rick versus Genocider, and Rick or Summer versus Evil, I believe what it's called. The first one was pretty successful, and I like it. It sort of implied that Rick and Morty were the same, and that like Morty would eventually like become Rick, and it had evil Morty in it, and it seemed to confirm that like details about evil Morty. And so based on the success of those and their desire to be weird, they gave the director of those shorts, whose name I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. He also did another anime series called Tower of God, I believe. And they let him pick this. And this, because it's going to be funny, I'm going to describe the plot of this thing to you, which is unbelievably convoluted. But, like...
And stupid.
In a way that, like, to be fair, in a much more truncated version of this, the show would do an episode like this. The basic plot of it, story of it, is Morty falls in love with a girl, and they have a tragic romance. And he's done that like multiple times on the show. It is in this version of it, it's really stretched out. And this show commits kind of the ultimate sin of doing the one thing the actual show never would. It does time travel. So, the first episode is very confusing, and this is where I said, you would enjoy this.
So then, okay, before you deep dive into it, I immediately have a problem with that because Rick has a strict no time travel rule. He does not respect it.
Absolutely.
He does not respect it.
I don't disagree.
And so that breaks character for me and makes me not like this. Especially because, as I understand it, this is supposed to be our Rick.
That's just it. So, as an adaptation, okay, fundamentally, as a it's not a good adaptation of Rick and Morty. A lot of the characters are out of character. Like, Jerry is this weird goofball, kind of guy. Summer, and everyone's off in a way that doesn't feel right. Like, this story is not uninteresting in and of itself, but as a representation of Rick and Morty, it doesn't work. So, okay, here's the story. So, the first episode sort of begins with... And each episode is sort of told non-linearly. So, like, it shows scenes out of time and out of sequence at random points. And so, the first episode is, like, Morty is in this, like, simulation where he keeps living this different lives and he keeps running into different versions of himself, where he meets this alien girl and this random guy. And it turns out that girl is part of an alien race that experiences all time, all at the same time, but also, like, can see her future but cannot change it. And so she sees that her future is to constantly and never-endingly fall in love with Morty. And every time she falls in love with Morty, it ends tragically. And so this ends with her winding up in Rick C-137, so our Rick's universe. And she winds up there as a regular girl, and her and Morty once again fall in love. And Rick is constantly experiencing events that aren't his, like realities that aren't his. He keeps experiencing them, and he starts experiencing the life of another version of Rick, which the show calls Mullet Rick. And his version of Morty, he runs into Morty and is like, "Oh, it's been a while since I've seen you. You died in my universe." And it turns out that his version of Morty left him like a long time ago.
Mullet Rick's version.
Yeah, he went off and he became a character known as Space Morty, who is effectively, like, you know how they have Space Beth? He's effectively Space Morty, and he's a massive hero in that universe, and that's where he meets the girl, and he ends up dying. And it's after he dies, she basically convinces Rick to turn her into pure, like, entropy, which is like pure antimatter. And the whole show, they're fighting the Federation, basically. And Mullet Rick says that she can save the girl, but in order to save the girl, they have to destroy the entire other universe. And Morty can't do that because he ultimately realizes that, like, he's not Space Morty. Like, he's like, I'm never gonna be the version of Morty that you fell in love with. Like, I'm never gonna be him. And she, like, kills herself, ultimately destroying the universe and ending the loop. And the whole idea is that her and Mullet Rick are constantly locked in this time loop where he turns her into entropy and just constantly restarts the loop. But he has managed to, like, push out of the loop by pushing her into, like, our universe.
Okay. This sounds bad.
It's okay, is what I will say. Like, if this wasn't Rick and Morty, like, it's got enough and to be fair, I'm doing this very rapidly. It's got enough twists. I'm not going to encourage you to check it out, mostly because it's not on anything we have access to. Like, it's not worth putting effort into watching it like I did. But it's like 10 episodes long, and the story, as it, like, initially, it's really frustrating. Like, I'm like, this is really bad. Every episode is told, like, the fifth episode is this weird memento style, like, story where it's like Jerry is like a superhero who everyone is trying to go after, and it's about finding out why he's a superhero. But the show is told out of order, so it's hard to follow.
Yeah, it just as you're telling me about it, it just sounds to me like a mediocre anime, which would be bad because it has fucking Rick and Morty shit on it.
Well,
like
that's...
it being Rick and Morty to me feels like a deterrent, not a deterrent, but like a detractor, like a negative thing.
You're not wrong. So, like, as an anime, like, the concept of, like, a girl who creates a time loop and is stuck into it, and it's about her and, like, endless
that would be
universes.
interesting.
Like,
that's
story,
pretty standard. That's a pretty standard and interesting idea.
Yeah.
But
it's not the idea.
It being forced to be attached to the Rick and Morty stuff seems like it just doesn't. It's not doing it any favors.
Like one of the videos I saw said that it feels like it's its own anime that had the Rick and Morty shit slapped on top of it. And and like the thing that's frustrating is that, okay, so I watched the dub. Like, this thing exists in Japanese, and apparently it's even more confusing in Japanese. But the dub, at the very least, they get voice replacements who sound kinda like the original voice cast some of the time.
What's the point at that point? Just go watch Rick and Morty.
And like, there are bits that are kind of like there's an episode where, like, the sword that Jerry winds up with, like, they bring back the Prime Jerry from the Cronenberg universe, and he teams up with our Jerry, and that's kind of fun. And then there's a kind of a funny moment where, like, Mr. Nimbus shows up, and he's Mr. Nimbus, and he's doing the bit where he's, like, thrusting, but he's saying really, really corny, like, anime dialogue, you know, like that self-serious shit that JoJo's Big Adventure, whatever, JoJo's Adventure, like, makes fun of. where it does that like
Yeah. No.
like, and that's funny, like, and that would be funny. Like there's real funny, like they're saying cliched, and if it were a parody of anime and it were a satire, and you got the original voice cast to come back and do these really like for example, like when South Park did anime, like something like that.
See, and
that
see,
would
that's
be funny.
that's where for me, and I said this all the way from the beginning when you told me they were making an anime. It works as a joke. It works as a short. I like those shorts.
Yeah.
It works for a short. It doesn't work for an entire show.
I
Like
look, that I don't agree with.
That short would work as part of the main show, and like that's part of a joke or something. But it doesn't work as, for me anyway. It doesn't work as its own show. It doesn't need to be a show.
I don't 100% agree. I do think if you had found a story that was a bit more coherent, and you told it coherently, and you brought the original voice cast back, I don't agree. I do think that this as it is doesn't work. I will not dispute that.
But to me, the way you do a Rick and Morty anime, and at that point, I wouldn't. It's not a Rick and Morty anime. To me, it would be a Morty anime. But to me, the way I mean, you could do it as a Rick and Morty anime. But the way you do it for me is you do it like card captor style, where it's slice of life that happens to have the zany stuff. So like, it's from Morty's point of view, and he's like, "This is about my summer vacation with Rick."
Yeah,
and
that's
like
pretty fun.
each episode is him going to a different planet, and it's like it very much it would make me think of how I would do it. It's kind of like a Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, where it's like all these crazy things are happening, but he's talking about them like as if they're normal.
Yeah, and then the other.
But even then, to me, I
like as an idea, because like it's a really stretched out version of it. Like this, they have enough. There's enough story in this series for like one episode, and that would work. This would work as one episode because the twists and turns are interesting enough. It being a different Rick locked in this loop with this girl like that, and his memories bleeding into Rick's memories, like it pays off in a way. Like initially, like again, the thing that was frustrating for me about this show was when I went to like kind of learn about it, I watched a lot of videos of people talking about it, because that was the thing that dissuaded me from checking it out, because I was excited for this because I really like those shorts, and I was like, okay, I want to see what he does when he's being given a bit more meat, you know. And I saw these videos that had these thumbnails were like, it's the worst thing ever, this thing sucks, this thing's whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch the show first, and I'll come back and I'll watch these videos. And I watch it, and I get about 4 episodes in, and I'm like, yeah, this is bad. This is incoherent nonsense. It's not really... The dub is kind of like the anime equivalent to, like, you know those videos where they take something, put it into Google Translate, and then bring it back into English? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's moments where, like, they're doing Rick and Morty jokes, like fourth wall breaking Rick and Morty jokes, but they don't work because every other moment of the show is 100% serious. So like it wants to do the serious anime thing, but then every once in a while it'll attempt a Rick and Morty joke that it's just not working. But it's not. You're like, okay, I need to see how this pays off. And once it starts,
for me, it was always...
hold on, let me finish. Once it starts to pay off, the ways it pays off are interesting. But they're interesting in spite of itself. Like, this would be better, like you said, if it wasn't Rick and Morty. Fundamentally.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, that's the thing.
Like, for me, there's certain things where it's like, yes, I can see an adaptation for them, right? Like, best example of that is, like, yeah, the Marvel superheroes, where it's like, I can see how you would do an adaptation for that and turn that into an anime. Rick and Morty, for me, was never... It's not one that I can see in that form. It doesn't work for me. At least not in the intention of which they're going about it.
No.
Like for me, if I was gonna do a Rick and Morty anime, other than the one that I guess I should say another idea of what I would have done for a Rick and Morty anime, and this would have had to be a long thing that they set up. That they knew they were going to do this in the future, so they don't do anything with the character in the actual show. But I would have set up evil Morty in the actual show to the point where he's running the Citadel, and then that's what I would have made the show about. The
That'd be
anime
pretty sweet.
about.
Have it be
Is
about a
him-
random Morty like working his
him-
way through the rebellion in the Citadel.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
that's what I would have done.
Yeah, this
But
was...
you would have had to know, and then at that point I would lean into the fact that it's making fun of an anime,
Yeah.
and I would make it where the version of Morty that we're following is like he's got the katana, he looks like a Japanese version. Heck, even make it so he is a Japanese version. And I would have, and then I would have leaned into that.
Yeah,
But
the big problem with this is
what
that it's supposed to be...
what they have doesn't.
The big problem with this is
Doesn't do it
supposed to
for
be
me.
it's supposed to be C-137. So a bigger issue with this would have been solved by just having him not be our Rick, and then you'd be like, oh, it's anime Rick. Okay, that's fine, that's acceptable. It's a universe where Rick is anime.
I still would have thought it's stupid, but
I mean,
it would make it better.
The thing with this is not that, again, it's not that a Rick and Morty anime absolutely works. Like, and you if you go into this making fun of anime, absolutely, it's the kind of shit that Rick and Morty would make fun of.
Not for an entire show. I could see an episode.
This is the correct length for what it needs to be. Like, if it was any longer, it wouldn't work. But the fact that it's nice and short, it's not that it's anime that's the issue. It's that it misses the point of what makes Rick and Morty. It's missing it's not as sardonic. It's too earnest, and it's too also. The story
It just doesn't do it for me.
The story being tied again. If you gave it this is not me recommending it. What I'm saying is, if it ever popped up, you'd probably find something interesting in there, because the story is not uninteresting. It's just not Rick and Morty. Like, if you turn off your brain, in fact,
again, from what you've told me of the story, it's not the story that I have the problem with. It's the inherent. I don't see Rick and Morty in that style. I just don't.
If you turn off your brain to that,
I shouldn't have to.
Yeah, but regardless, if you turn off your brain to that, you'd probably like it. The thing is, it's a hard show to like until I think the only really good episodes are the last ones, which is what made those YouTube videos so frustrating, because I'm looking to see what they think, and all of them are I stopped watching it at the third or fourth episode, and I'm like, yeah, but that's where the show gets interesting. That's where all the reveals happen and where it explains itself. I'm not saying it's great, but it's not I wouldn't say it's bad. I would say it's definitely a weird, surrealist Japanese guy's idea of what Rick and Morty is. And it is. Like I say, the show would have done an episode. In fact, they have. It's very similar to the Planet Tina episode, where it's Morty falls in love with a girl, and it ends tragically. They've done this episode on the show. It's just, this is really prolonged, and I think that's kind of the difference.
Yeah, no, again, for me, it has nothing to do with the story and everything to do with the style. For me, it would be the equivalent of if you tried to do a Family Guy anime, or a Simpsons anime, or an American Dad anime, King of the Hill anime. Those don't work for me.
I've watched all of those as anime, but there's nothing. But the thing is, the difference between is the story for Rick and Morty, at its heart, is kind of complex, especially in the later seasons. So there's stuff to do there that you can do a bit more with a bit more gravitas.
Yeah, again, you keep going back to the story of it. It has nothing to do with the story for me. It's the style. It does not, for me, style-wise, it does not work as an anime.
I mean,
it just doesn't. Does not do it for me.
You could take anything and you could slap an anime aesthetic on it and it would look interesting.
No, respectfully, I disagree.
Because I mean,
I think certain things are meant to be in a certain style, and to me, that's a Western style, Eastern style.
Any artist should be allowed to interpret any art the way they want to. If someone out there, for whatever godforsaken reason, wants to make a Family Guy anime, I would totally watch a Family Guy anime.
I mean, we need to clarify here. I didn't say he couldn't make it. I said it doesn't do it for me.
I mean,
it doesn't do it for me. I don't like.
You're missing out. These are always funny.
I don't think that Yeah, Rick and Morty to me.
Like there's a really funny
doesn't
SpongeBob
do it for
anime
me.
that's really funny, where it's really hyper
No.
ultra serious and it's very funny. But the thing is, it all depends on your intention. Like yeah, if they had approached this where it's like, yeah, we're gonna do. The thing is, it wants to know that it's Rick and Morty, so it wants to have Rick and Morty jokes. But the thing is, it would work. This would work if you got the voice cast, the original voice cast of the show. Then at the very least, you would be less off put by it.
Well, it wouldn't need to be the original. The issue ultimately stems from the fact that they want this to be the C-137 version. But it's like, if you had just said this was a different version, then his voice being different isn't necessarily the biggest deal.
No, I know, but I'm just saying this. If it is going to be the original version, they should have got the original voice cast. That would have made
Yeah, exactly.
it would have made it funny. That's the thing is like that hearing Rick say this weird anime dialogue is not funny when it's not Rick, but when it is Rick, because Rick wouldn't talk like that, it makes it funny. Like that's the thing. And I know the theory is that this thing got caught off at the knees and lost all its funding because Rick and Morty dipped in popularity, so it wasn't as popular. So they couldn't get away with doing a weird spin-off. That I will say. I hate arguing against something's existence, but this thing was never going to do well. And the fact that they thought they would shows an arrogance with this property that is astonishing.
Yeah, like I said, doesn't do it for me.
No, didn't. Here's what I will say: it didn't work. I can't be like, you know what, Jordan, you should go subscribe to Substack or Stack TV and go watch it. It's totally worth it. It's not. If you happen to see it and you're like, one day you're like I've got nothing else to watch, and it sounded weird.
I'm drunk and it's a Tuesday and I need something to watch. Let's put this on.
I'm curious. My curiosity was piqued.
So,
Hey everybody, it's N-Card Justin here again. What do you think? Have you seen the Rick and Morty anime? Did you finish it? Or did you quit after like 3 episodes like every one of these other YouTubers did? Let me know down in the comments down below. Otherwise, if you want to see the full video that this episode is from, you can click the video on the left and that'll take you to the anime episode we did. We talked all about all kinds of animes. Or you click the box on the right and that will take you to a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button if you haven't, leave us a like if you could, and we'll see you in the next video, everybody.